Well, as you can see by that amazing like to dislike ratio, people love this.
Is this the trailer that they just refuse to put out for?
Yes, yeah. This is the one they seem to be actively avoiding showing anyone out of fear and embarrassment. It's sitting at this is inaccurate right now because it just keeps going up. It's at 710,000 dislikes right now to 27,000 likes, and millions of views. So it's doing well. It's doing very well.
So good.
Yeah, I'm not shocked why they were so reluctant to put this stuff out there. And I also am shocked at the goblins. I mean, the dwarves.
Yeah.
What were they? I was thinking about this the other night, man. And this is kind of related, but also kind of related. I was watching some random ass Christmas movie. It was Elf. I've never seen Elf, and I've heard about it for years, and I've seen clips from it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna watch Elf for some reason. And guess who was in Elf? Peter Dinklage's little ass. Peter Dinklage. I just thought about it. I was like, this is why he ruined the entire world, because he pulled the ladder up so hard. He's like, you know what, little bitches? I am the only little bitch for the rest of eternity. Pulls it up, and then Disney's like, damn, it's actually offensive if we hire these people for money. Better fire them all. And now look what we got. We got the most weird ass spooky what is it called, the valley, spooky valley,
uncanny
valley little dwarf dudes, and they are terrifying. And I'm like, what were you thinking? God, no wonder he's got a billion downvotes. Jesus, man.
Yeah, you know what would have been a great idea if Peter Dinklage would have went to Disney after the whole backlash. If he would have been like, listen, I'm gonna play all 7 dwarves, but different makeup for every single one of them. That would have been like funny and kind of a big fuck you. And 2, I'm like, I would watch that. Watch that. And I have to say also, why do people keep hiring Peter Dinklage as like a villain or whatever? The dude is not intimidating at all. Like I watch movies where he's a villain. I'm all like, I'm not scared of you, not one fucking bit. And it's not because he's a little person.
He is.
I'm like, so
but he's cunningly made it so you're not allowed to hire any other dwarf except him. Like
he's the Pedro Pascal of little people.
He is. But if you hire any other little person, height challenged chappy, then it all goes wrong, because then you get accused of being insensitive and just using dwarfs for comic relief. Not that there's anything funny about Peter Dinklage.
Well, he's created a dwarf shortage.
He did it on a podcast, the Mark Maron podcast 3 years ago. He called out Disney for once they announced they were going to do this. He called them out for not being progressive enough, just by the sheer fact that they were remaking this.
If you've got Rachel Zegler in your movie, how can you be more progressive? Every time she opens her mouth, it's like every single bad person, bad idea of what that type of person is just comes straight out. I don't think you can be any more progressive than keeping her in that role.
Yeah, it's really strange because stuff will kind of die down for a little while, not completely, and then an interview comes out and she just completely resets the clock by like 2 years, almost like a damn cooldown on World of Warcraft. She clicks it again, and then we have to go through this hell. And for some reason, I think that happened right before this trailer came out again. So I'm like, what are you doing? Just don't let her talk. Put a muzzle on her and just don't let her do any interviews ever again.
Yeah, she's Absolutely. Like a fiend. Every time she has one step forward, which is, it seems like it's because of Disney's PR team, like pushing her to do it. She puts her foot in her mouth all by herself a few months later again. And it's always right before something major, like a trailer release or something too. Super unfortunate for that production.
I think that's way too nice of a description. She's like cancer. She goes into remission and then she comes back worse.
Yeah,
I described it like a drug fiend, and her, her drug of choice is attention.
Yeah, both of those are good descriptions, though. Yeah, I followed her way before she became famous because I'm like a theater kid. So I followed her on Instagram, and she's always been like progressive and outspoken about stuff. But then she became famous, and I'm all like, honey, you got to play the game. And right now the game is to shut your fucking mouth. And that's the problem with bitches. Sometimes they don't know when to shut the fuck up. And I'm just like, and if I could just backtrack for just a hot second, this release strategy for this trailer is so freaking unusual. And I'm all like, it didn't work. And I'm all like, why is Disney like doing the dumbest shit these days when it comes to marketing. Like I'm all like, you got your Snow White, you're obviously going to release it. I would try to do as best as I could when it comes to like what Warner Brothers did with that Batgirl movie. I would try to get a tax write-off if possible, because they spent so much money on this movie, and apparently obviously nobody likes it. So yeah, Rachel Zegler sucks. So
it's actually too late now, because now they've officially advertised for it. Once you officially advertise for something, you can no longer use it as a tax write-off.
Man, that's a bummer for them. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, it's the thing with her is, and this is like a lot of celebrities, but she's young, kind of, and like outspoken. So a camera gets in front of her, and she's surrounded by all these people that believe this like asinine stuff, or well, they don't really believe it, they just say it to increase, you know, their job opportunities, and that's all she hears. But it's such a small little bubble. Like if you go into like a rural ass Alabama where I am, and you hear somebody talking about masculinity and blah, 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 and how it's hurting people, nah, dude, you are going to get chopped up as well as the wood. Okay, don't play with that.
Yeah, it's so funny how these people talk about shit that normal people. I'm all like, I don't know anybody that talks about the shit that you guys talk about. Like, what's going on here? Like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. You're so stupid. You're so stupid.
But she's the only one who sort of didn't get the memo, because like she just couldn't hold it in after the election, and she thought, no, I have thoughts that the world needs to hear, is what Rachel Zegler told herself. Nobody else believed it, but like you've got other people coming out, like Sarah Silverman came out and said, you know, I'm not talking about politics anymore because no one wants to listen to celebrities. That's sensible. You had Ellen DeGeneres, who did in fact leave the country. She came to England. England immediately flooded because lesbians, I guess. So like most of these people kind of got the memo, but Rachel Zegler didn't, and I don't think she ever will, really. So like she's great for the YouTube economy, but she's not gonna. Well, actually, no, that was going to be my question. Do we think this will severely damage this movie, or are the kind of people who would have liked this movie the type of person who to be unmoved by a Rachel Zegler outburst?
Oh no. So I think things have started to almost like blend or fade into like the normies. So that I feel like that's why the election was so wild in this country. It was just outrageous, because the normal people, the normal everyday people that will just consume whatever dribbles just fed to them, are starting to be like, wait a second, those dwarfs are CG. Where's the dwarfs? Why is she ugly? And I think that everybody's going to think that way. You know what I'm saying? Because like Moana 2, like I just go see Moana 2. It's fine. And then just worry about Moana 2 for a few months. There's so many options out there. You can watch so many things. Disney Plus, you got all the things you need. You don't need to see the damn weird ass Snow White movie that looked like somebody threw up a rainbow the whole time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I just want to say, like, when it comes to, like, for instance, I have 2 children. One is a girl, and she's like the girliest girl ever. So she loves all the Disney princess nonsense and everything. But I showed her the trailer for this. I was like, you want to go see this? And she's like, no, that's okay. And I was like, are you sure? She's like, no, it's okay. And I was like, all right. And so I was like, and so it's very obvious that there's something going on with this movie that even my 9-year-old doesn't care about. And you guys can keep Ellen DeGeneres. You guys can keep
Oh God. But like you said, I think kids can see it too. Like I think everyone can see it. Every human can see it, right? But just because something is a kid's movie or a kid's TV show doesn't necessarily mean kids are going to discount it being atrocious, right?
Yeah.
Like you can go back and watch Aladdin and Lion King from like the early 90s, and they're still solid as hell.
Yeah, so good.
Right. So that's the point. Is I think as a kid, I remember stuff that sucked when I was a kid. I was like, yep, that's trash. And I still think it's trash to this day. And I think kids can see through that. I think what these studios unfortunately thought was kids would just consume anything, or parents would just allow their kids to consume anything. But unfortunately for them, the kids aren't spending the money, the parents are. So you need to make it appeal to them, at least to some, degree.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like an event film to go to the theater for. It 100%. Looks like the same. It looks like the same generic live action remakes we've gotten over and over. It doesn't look special. It doesn't like literally the cinematography just looks like the same, like bland CGI stuff. Like I described the hag that she turns into at the end, so you get a glimpse of like the old lady she becomes, and she just looks like someone put it like one of those Snapchat filters over her. It looks horrific. It's it's not colorful. It's like all muted. It looks like Zack Snyder directed it. It's like all these live action remakes have that sheen to them, you know.
I'm gonna write that down.
Well, that means we're gonna get a second one if it's gonna be the Snyder cut of Snow White.
Well, and speaking of that, the color when you watch the trailer, right? The color is so like it's very doom and gloom. It's very gray, and I'm all like, didn't they make this movie with that Twilight girl like 10 years ago? And what's her face?
Snow White and the Huntsman.
Yeah, didn't they make this movie already? Just with different actors. I'm like, you got a girl boss, and you got the evil queen who's hot as shit.
They've made it like 8 times in the past 12 years. This fucking movie.
Yeah, I'm all like, I'm like, it's ridiculous. But yeah, go watch Moana 2, even though I haven't seen it. Go watch Moana 2.
I love the first one. I love it. I love the first one. I'm not ashamed to say it, damn it. I watch it all the time.
I did not like the first one, but that's okay.
I love it.
Little Mermaids was conceptually fucked. I mean, you didn't have Rachel Zegler, the fucking horrible, horrible human being. But like, Little Mermaids itself was shit. Nobody wanted to see it, and it flopped. Was this one? You've got the same situation where they've race swapped Snow White, but you've also got a fucking piece of shit actress. So it's even worse in that situation.
Well, that's the thing too. Like Gal Gadot is not even like she's offensively bad as an actress, but
she's hot.
Yeah. Well, no, and that's the thing. They did their damnedest to mute her beauty. To try and like dumb her down to match Rachel Zegler, because you have to suspend your disbelief that Gal Gadot is jealous of Rachel fucking Zegler.
Yeah,
what's the fairest of them all mean?
They've been trying this whole time. They've been trying to sell this idea this whole time, and then they even tried to do the whole conveniently changing the definition, like, oh, fairest means like she's nice, not actually like she's hot or anything. And I'm like, doubt it. The only way you could save this movie is if the damn the witch lady, if she was just in a thong the whole time, that's it. And it would have done well. But you only had one shot to go back and do that. It's over now.
They just turned to lesbians.
Yeah, there's got to be something sexy and not the dwarves. And no one's sexy like that. That's just the thing, man. Stop making films not sexy. You saw it with the most recent the game that came out the other day. They have character models that have ass cheeks, and guess what? Everybody's playing it. Shocking. Yeah. Who knew that everyone loved ass cheeks?
And I think if you go back and you watch the original 1939 movie, evidently so, Snow White is very likable. She's very like, she's very like, pure and everything, but they totally changed the character to this boss girl, and she's going to save her kingdom like her daddy told her to and everything. And I'm all like, why would you change something so wholesome into, because Snow White has to do something. And I'm all like, is falling in love not good enough anymore? Is that a bad thing nowadays?
Isn't the prince a rapist?
I mean,
because he tries to save her.
I don't know if he goes that far, but he's
that was one of the things Zegler tried to say in one of the really bad interviews she did when she was talking about how the fact that he kisses her without consent or something is just dodgy. It's weird. So that had to be changed. And yeah, she has, like all heroes do, she has to go from being nice, demure, polite, trying to help out the dwarves because she's a good person, to being a craver after power, like all heroes have to be in R. So yeah, they do seem to have slightly missed the point of the original story, just a little bit.
Well, she becomes a commie. She goes, rise, proletarians, kill the bourgeois.
Little people of the world unite, yeah.
There was even that slight change in the song where she was no longer going to use the broom. She was going to hand that duty off to
she just gives it off to the dwarf. No, because she actually doesn't in the trailer. She hands it away so they can carry on being her serfs. Again, that is proper communism, though. So
I'm looking forward parasite.
That's I don't like it if that's just them missing the point of the song, or because the weird CGI monstrosities they've cooked up can't actually handle movement with someone who's holding a broom. Maybe there was some technological requirement for that, but
and that's another thing about this movie is like, it's like I don't understand. Like, even if you like when you watch it, like the huntsman that's gonna kill her, even he is so dull. He's like, run into the woods, and I'm like, what? You can't even like you picked a black guy for it, and you can't even like make him as exciting as the huntsman from the original movie. At least that guy was all wide and be like, run to the woods. It's like this movie is so like it's not fun, it's not funny, and I hope it bombs. I really.
There's probably some sort of contractual requirement for any film that has Gal Gadot in it. You're not actually allowed to act too hard because like, the harder you act, the worse she's going to look every single time.
Yep, 100%. I do think it'll be a nightmarish flop because, for one, it's not the most popular Disney movie. I mean, it may have been at one point in time, a long time ago, but it's not really anymore. They've delayed it about 15 times. It doesn't look impressive. The trailer's creepy. Snow White's supposed to be beautiful. She's not. She's supposed to be Snow White. She's not. Gal Gadot is a terrible actress. I just don't foresee anything working out. And no one's really interested. All we're interested in is downloading it. And I feel like that's going to be its only success, being downloaded into a